DreAllDay.com.
Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. Let's talk about Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen and his new book. I think it's called Unguarded. Now, before I get into talking about this, let me tell you, I send out a daily motivation text every morning straight to your phone, free of charge. If you want to get it, just text me right now. This is my number, 384-6894. 385-384-6894. Text me at that number. You get my daily motivation every day. Numbers down below in the description as well. So, Scottie Pippen, he got a new book out where he's talking about his life and career, which is fine. Every athlete nowadays writes a book. It's easy to put a book out. It's easy to get a book deal if you're, though, even somewhat famous. Scottie Pippen was very famous in his days when he was playing. Scottie Pippen ain't that famous anymore because he ain't played in damn near 20 years, but he's still famous enough. He probably got a nice advance for his book deal. Cool. Every athlete writes a book now. Carmelo Anthony had a book come out. Everybody writes a book. Derrick Rose wrote a book. Everybody writes a book. So it's not a big deal that he wrote a book. The only reason that I'm talking about this right now is the same reason that you're watching it, because you know what Scottie Pippen did in his book. He bashed his teammate, Michael Jordan. That's the reason that we're talking about this. Now, let me say something about Scottie Pippen. First of all, I personally am a reader of books. I'm a writer of books. I'm a reader of books. I would have bought Scottie Pippen's book even if he did not bash Michael Jordan. I would have read his book even without him bashing anybody because I'm a reader and I liked Scottie Pippen as a player. So I would have read about his story and whatever he wanted to share. Now, the fact that he bashed Michael Jordan is, let's give credit to Scottie Pippen and his hustle and his business sense. Let's just give him credit. Let's just call this a good business move. Now, who knows if he was thinking about it this way, but this is the way it's going to work out. Scottie's going to sell more books because he bashed Michael Jordan than he would have sold if he did not bash Michael Jordan, simply because bashing Michael Jordan brought a whole bunch of attention to this book from casual people who would not otherwise give a damn that Scottie Pippen wrote a book. Some people don't even know anything about Scottie Pippen, but they know about Michael Jordan, and because he's bashing Michael Jordan, they're going to go read the book because of that. So, Scottie, congratulations. You're going to sell a significant number more books because you bashed Michael Jordan than had you just not bashed Michael Jordan. So, let's talk about Scottie Pippen, a few things about Scottie. First of all, I think Scottie Pippen miscalculated in his bashing of Jordan. I don't think Scottie Pippen needs the money that he's going to make from this book, the extra that he's going to make from bashing Jordan that I just told you he's going to make. I don't think that money means that much to Scottie Pippen. So I don't think he did this in a strategic way. I think he did it just to do it, and because of that, he's going to make the money. I'm giving him credit that he probably doesn't deserve, but y'all understand what I'm saying here. I think Scottie Pippen, this is just how I see it, Scottie has, for whatever reason, decided that more people are thinking more about the negative aspects of what got shared in the Last Dance documentary about him than they're actually thinking about it. And this is something that I tell people all the time, and I'll tell you, if this is your first time hearing me say this, make sure you pay attention. Your failures and your setbacks, your shortcomings in life, the only person who's really thinking about them years after they happen, the only person who still remembers is you. Nobody else remembers. Nobody else cares. Nobody else is thinking about it. Nobody else is talking about it. And what does this have to do with Scottie Pippen? When the Last Dance documentary came out last summer, everybody watched it, right? Spring of 2020, it was like right at the beginning of COVID. Nobody can go anywhere. There's nothing else to do. Everybody watched the documentary. It was a couple pieces in that documentary that kind of made Scottie Pippen look, I guess you could say he became the subject of ridicule or commentary. Let's just say that. Commentary that might have bordered on ridicule. It was three things specifically. Number one, in the early 90s, Scottie Pippen went into a contract negotiation where he could sign a long-term contract. The thing was, the owner of the Bulls, Jerry Reinsdorf, who was in the documentary, said, in his exact words, he said that he told Scottie, I don't renegotiate contracts. So I want to let you know, this contract that I'm about to offer you is not the best deal you could get. If you wait 1 year, next year, we will negotiate again. We'll come back to the table. I will give you a better contract for way more money than what I'm giving you right now. You should probably not sign this contract. Scottie Pippen, against the wishes of the very person was paying him, signed the contract anyway. It was an under-market deal, or at the time it was a good deal, but the next year it became under-market because the money went up, and Scottie could have made way more money had he just waited 1 year. But Scottie had insisted, and he said this in the documentary, and other people said it too, he just wanted to take care of his family. Because Scottie comes from a big family, he wanted to take care of his family. He didn't want to risk going that year, maybe getting injured or something happening, he couldn't get the money. So he took the money. So then years later on in his career, when the money went up and everybody else was making way more money than him, Scottie was bitter because he wasn't making more money, which makes no sense because, dude, you signed the contract and the very dude who would have paid you more told you not to take the deal. You took it anyway. Who are you mad at? How was Scottie Pippen bitter by 1998 when you signed a contract that the owner, the very person whose money it was, told you don't take it, I'll give you more if you just wait. And he didn't wait. So Scottie, that last year with the Bulls, and Michael Jordan said this in the documentary, Scottie was being selfish, only thinking about himself, and he was mad because he was underpaid when he's the one who set himself up to be underpaid. So that's the one thing that Scottie has been, I guess, he's been tight about. He's still thinking about that now because that got shown in the documentary, but it's factual, so it's not like anybody made anything up. That happened. Second thing Scottie was I guess, feeling a little bit peeved about was 1994. Michael Jordan's not on the Bulls. He's playing baseball. The Bulls are playing the New York Knicks, who were the team, my team at the time. They were playing New York Knicks in the playoffs. No Michael Jordan. And it is at the end of the game, I think it's 1.8 seconds left. Phil Jackson draws up a play, and Tony Kukoc is going to get the shot. Scottie Pippen was mad because he felt like he was the guy on that team. He should have been the one getting the shot. So he refused to go in the game. The Bulls go and play. Tony Kukoc gets the shot. He makes the shot, which essentially makes Scottie Pippen look like an asshole. And to this very day, Scottie, if you're watching this, if somebody's in Scottie's camp is watching this, Scottie, let's be honest. You gambled on that one. That was a gamble Scottie Pippen took. Scottie believed, and he said this in so many words, he still says this to this very day, I believed I had earned the right to be the one taking that shot. I understand Scottie's perspective. Now, at the same time, Scottie's logic might be a little bit questionable simply because Scottie was not a one-on-one type dude. He wasn't the kind of guy you gave the ball to and said, make this shot with 2 seconds left. He was never that type of dude. Scottie was an all-around guy, great defender, fill in the gaps type of dude. That's the kind of player that he was. And it was something else that he said about Michael Jordan. He said, well, Michael made the documentary seem all about him. And we're going to get to that in a second. And Scottie said, well, I believe basketball is a team sport. It's not about the individual, it's about the team. But at the same time, Scottie, the previous breath you just said, Phil Jackson is dumb, or Phil Jackson is racist because he gave the ball to Tony Kukoc instead of giving it to me. I feel the ball should have went to me on that last shot. Well, I thought basketball was a team game, Scottie. Which one is it? It can't be basketball is a team game, and at the same time, you don't want to go in the game because the ball's not going to you. I thought it was a team game. The whole purpose of the game is for the team to win. It doesn't matter who scored the points or who made the shots. It's just the team wins. You should be happy. But in that moment, you decide to make it about you, and then 20 years later, you're going to bash Michael Jordan because the documentary is about Michael Jordan. We're going to get to Michael Jordan in a second. So that one is Scottie is contradicting himself, number one. Number two, you made a gamble, Scottie. Let's say Tony Kukoc has shot that ball and missed, and the Knicks won that game. Scottie, you would be vindicated. You could spend the rest of your life saying, Phil Jackson's an asshole. He should have gave me the ball. I would have made the shot. He gave it to bum-ass Tony Kukoc, and Tony missed. But, Scottie, Tony made the shot. And when Tony made that shot, Scottie, you sealed your fate that for the rest of your life, anytime you get brought up, somebody who wants to bash you is going to bring up the fact that you didn't go in the game for that shot, and you look like a fucking asshole because you do, and you were, and you played yourself. You gambled and you lost. The gamble was you could vindicate yourself if Tony missed, but he didn't miss, he made it, and you're like an asshole. And to this very day and tomorrow and 10 days from now, you will be an asshole for not going in the game during that shot because it went in. That's the only reason, because it went in. Now, another thing he said in that moment, we're still on the second point. He said Phil Jackson's a racist because Tony Kukoc is Croatian, white, let's just say, by you American street corner mofos, let's just call him white. Tony Kukoc is white. Scottie Pippen is black. So he says Phil Jackson is racist for giving the ball to Tony Kukoc on the last second shot. So this is Phil Jackson's racist. Okay. The same Phil Jackson who coached Michael Jordan, who's black, Scottie Pippen, who's black, Kobe Bryant, who's black, Shaquille O'Neal, who's black. Phil Jackson's racist. I think all of these guys look pretty goddamn good with Phil Jackson as a coach. He's racist because he gave the ball to Tony Kukoc one time and it worked. Now, if Tony Kukoc had been a complete bum and missed, I can understand maybe 1% of Scottie's perspective. But Phil Jackson's racist for giving the ball to a white guy who succeeded. He was successful in making a shot, and he's racist because he didn't get a ball to you, Scottie Pippen, who's not a one-on-one player. You're not a shooter. You were never looked at as a shooter. And he made the shot, but he's racist. Scottie Pippen, you are seriously reaching. That's the second point. Third thing about Scottie Pippen, the third thing in the docuseries about Scottie Pippen. He has said now that he thinks the Last Dance documentary was Michael Jordan making it all about himself, trying to make himself look bigger than he was, make himself look like the star and bigger than everybody else on the Chicago Bulls. Scottie said that's what Michael Jordan was doing. Well, Scotty, let me offer you a news flash. I guess you're the last person on the planet to realize it. Michael Jordan was bigger than everybody on the Bulls. Michael Jordan was better than everybody on the Bulls. And the only reason everybody watched The Last Dance was not for fucking Scottie Pippen. It wasn't for Tony Kukoc. It was not for Phil Jackson. It was not for Dennis Rodman. We watched The Last Dance because the name Michael fucking Jordan. That's why we watched the documentary. Scotty, we did not watch that documentary because of you. We watched it because of Michael Jordan. And this is not a knock on Scottie Pippen. I am a fan of Scottie Pippen, the basketball player. I don't know Scottie Pippen in any other capacity. As a basketball player, Scotty, I am a fan of you. But I did not watch a 10-part docuseries because of you. I watched it because of Michael fucking Jordan. And so did the other 98% of the population who watched it. Maybe 2% of people watched it to see everybody else. The rest of us watched it because the name Michael Jordan brought the audience. You know that, and that's the exact thing you're doing right now to sell your fucking book is use the name Michael Jordan. You're bashing him. The Last Dance used it to make him look good. You're using it to make him look bad. Both of y'all doing the same thing. Use the name Michael Jordan to sell your product. You ain't doing anything different than what ESPN did. So for you to say Michael Jordan trying to make himself look better than everybody else, Scottie Pippen, where were you during the entire 1990s? Michael Jordan was bigger than everybody else. He was bigger than you. He was bigger than the Bulls. He was bigger than the NBA. He was bigger than every other player in the league, and he was the best. He deserved to be bigger. He was the best. What are you? I don't understand what Scotty's gripe is here. That Michael made. He said Michael used the doc to make himself look bigger. No, he didn't make himself look bigger. He was bigger. All right, that's just a truth. It wasn't a. It's not a camera trick that Michael Jordan looked bigger than everybody else on the Bulls in that docuseries. He motherfucking was. So what is Scottie Pippen talking about? That makes no sense. So these three things from the docuseries, I guess Scottie is pissed off about. These are his flimsy reasonings for why he's bashing Michael Jordan in his book. Now, here's the thing. Scottie Pippen, again, I just said this earlier, it appears that Scottie believes, I don't know what he actually believes, but it appears to me that he believes that everybody in the world, when Scottie Pippen's name comes up, they automatically think of these things. And I understand that Scottie was probably bitter and pissed off about these things back in the 90s, but I guess he didn't have a reason or a platform to vent about it. And then when the series came out in 2020, I guess it opened those old wounds for him that have not yet healed. And now he's got a book coming out, so it's perfect timing for him to go and bash everybody. But the thing is, Scottie, he should know this because of his the fact that he works on ESPN. He shows up on those TV shows every now and then, right? Those talk shows. So he should know the climate that these stories kind of come and go. Nobody's even talking about The Last Dance anymore. It was just a year and a half ago. Nobody cares anymore. The Last Dance, this is how things work with news these days. If this happens, this is for everybody who's watching this. If you were ever caught up in any kind of news scandal or something is funny or you go viral in some kind of negative way or people are talking about you in a way that is like ridicule or you think they're laughing at you or talking bad about you, here's all you got to do. All right, look at your calendar, look at whatever date it is, and wait like 5 days. It probably won't even take that long, but let's just say 5 days. If you're super famous, 5 days from now, nobody's going to be talking about it anymore. Why? Because it's going to get replaced by something else and something else. It's just like a news feed, right? Something you posted on Monday, by Wednesday, you can't even find that shit because it already got replaced by everything that came out on Tuesday and everything that came out on Wednesday. Nobody cares anymore. Scottie Pippen, nobody is talking about you anymore in a negative way or in a ridiculing type of way. Nobody was ridiculing you 10 days after The Last Dance came out. Nobody was talking about The Last Dance anymore. All right, we talked about it. It came out. We talked about it for like 2 days. It came out on Sunday night, right? Every Sunday it would come out. We talked about it on Monday and Tuesday. By Wednesday, we weren't talking about it anymore. Then the new one came out. We talked about that one Monday, Tuesday. By Wednesday, everybody forgot that shit even came out. By the time the last episode came out, maybe a week, we were talking about The Last Dance. Then everybody moved on to whatever the news story was. And guess what, Scottie Pippen? It was not you. Nobody was talking about your contract. Nobody was talking about you sitting out when Tony Kukoc made the shot, made you look like an asshole. Nobody was talking about Michael Jordan looking bigger than everybody else. Nobody even thought that because Michael Jordan was bigger than everybody else. That was, again, it wasn't an illusion. He was bigger than you by a magnitude of many, just like he was bigger than everybody else, and he should have been. So, Scotty, you have actually made this a story when it wasn't even a story anymore. Nobody even cared. And it'd be one thing if he brought it up and said, well, you know, I felt this way, that way, and said it in a way that was kind of more constructive. But he's saying it in a way as if he felt like he was done wrong. Now, Scotty, nobody did you wrong in a documentary. Everything that got said and put out about you was true. It was factual. It's on camera. We all know what happened, and I just broke it down right now. What could you possibly be arguing in this case? And again, I get it if you're trying to do this to sell books, but do you really need to sell those books? And understand at the same time, you're listening to a guy who I am in the publishing world. So I know how publishing contracts work. And Scottie, you ain't never written a book before. So I got a pretty good idea what your publishing contract looks like. And even the extra sales that you're going to make from bashing Michael Jordan, that money, the bulk of it, ain't even going in your pocket. It's going to the publisher. It ain't going to you because you ain't got the leverage to demand a certain royalty breakdown. You might have got a big advance, but the royalty breakdown, you ain't getting that much. You ain't no established author. So even though you're going to sell more books for bashing Mike, you're making more money for the company than you make it for yourself. So was this really worth it, Scottie Pippen? And this brings me to my last point about Scottie Pippen. There was a GQ article that came out this past summer, and they were asking Scottie about, this is the article where y'all remember when he was bashing, he didn't even bash him, but he critiqued Kevin Durant a little bit. He said something about Kevin Durant, like, well, the way Kevin Durant's playing, LeBron would do better because LeBron's a more complete player or something like that, he said. And then Kevin Durant responded to him on Twitter like, yo, ain't you the dude who didn't go in the game when you didn't get the ball and look like an asshole? Which, again, this is what people are going to bring up about you, Scottie. You set yourself up for this. You did it to yourself, and ain't nobody be mad at. And so that was in the summer. When he said that, in that same article, later in the article, there was a question about the things that Scottie's doing now, because he retired in like 2004, so he's like 56 years old. And I'm going to come back to his age in a minute because I believe it's relevant for a certain point that I want to make. And they were just asking him what you got going on, and he's talking about like this food business that he's doing, and he has some kind of alcoholic drink coming out and a book that he's working on and all this stuff that he's doing outside of basketball. And one of the things that Scottie said, this is a specific phrase that he said, I always try to stay relevant. That's the phrase that he said. I always try to stay relevant. Now, Scottie Pippen is way older than me. I'm 39. Scottie Pippen's 56. So Scottie Pippen's damn near old enough to be my dad. He's like my dad's age. All right, I don't want to hear my dad talking about trying to be relevant. All right, relevant is for like some millennial, some 22-year-old getting out of college making videos on fucking TikTok. Why are you trying to be relevant? What the hell does that even mean, Scottie? You're trying to be a person of conversation amongst a bunch of young people on the internet. You're 56 years old. You got 6 championships. You got a couple of gold medals. You made more money playing basketball than even Michael Jordan made in contracts. Y'all can look that up. Scottie Pippen made more money in his contracts than Michael Jordan made in his contracts. Scottie made more money. So you made money. You're known. You are widely respected by everybody in the basketball world for your accomplishments and your position as the number 2 guy on one of the greatest teams of all time. You're trying to be relevant? What are you talking about being relevant? You don't need to be relevant, Scottie. You're already relevant. All right, by the time, I hope that when I'm 56, if I make it to 56, I hope that I am not looking around the internet trying to be relevant to a bunch of 20-year-olds. I don't need to be relevant to those people. All right? That's not my age group. If they like me, if they know about me, great, but I'm not trying to be relevant. What the hell does that even mean? Scottie, you don't need to be relevant. All right, your relevance, you did it. You did it. Dude, you don't have to do this. You do not have to bash Michael Jordan, which makes no sense. You look like a dumbass. You look like an idiot. You look bitter. You look like a grumpy old man, and you're not even that old. You look like a grumpy old man bashing Michael Jordan, which, again, it'd be one thing if you was bashing somebody who was bash-worthy. Michael Jordan is not bash-worthy. All right, you're trying to bash a guy that can't be bashed. Why are you doing this? So you could sell books, which makes no sense. I just explained why that doesn't even make sense business-wise. I think Scottie Pippen this is just my view on Scottie Pippen, is that he is trying to appeal to a certain audience, and doing and saying certain things to appeal to this audience makes no sense. Like the whole calling Phil Jackson racist, I get that a black person calling a white person racist is going to get a certain percentage of the population to support you just because you're black and they're white and you're saying it, but it's so ridiculous who's saying it and who you're saying it about and why. The who, what, and why that you're giving for that, using the phrase racist, is so fucking ridiculous. I get that maybe Scottie's trying to appeal, and he works for ESPN. And we know ESPN is super woke. So Scottie, like, I get what you're trying to do, but you are so clumsy at doing it. Just stop it. Stop doing this, Scottie Pippen. Don't do this. I highly respect what you did as a player. I am a big fan of what you did as a ball player. What you're doing as I don't even know what you call yourself nowadays, an entrepreneur, I guess, or trying to be relevant. Stop trying to be relevant. You're 56. You're my dad. All right, I don't want my dad trying to be relevant. I don't want my mom trying to be relevant. All right, do what you do. Live your life. All right, don't do things and reach for attention. Stop trying to reach. We don't need it. Scottie, you're a great defender. You know great defenders don't reach, right? We move our feet. You don't reach. You're reaching right now. Stop reaching. I'm still going to read your book. I'm still a fan of what you did as a basketball player. I will still fire up Scottie Pippen videos on YouTube to to watch. And if I ever teach a basketball player how to play D, I will still be looking at Scottie Pippen film to show them how it's done the right way. But what you're doing right now, calling somebody, a white person, racist because you're black and you think that's going to get some traction on social media, it didn't work. You tried it, you see that it failed. Bashing Michael Jordan, failed. Being mad because the way that they didn't portray you in the documentary. That's what fucking happened. They're not portraying you. That's what happened, Scotty. It's all on video. You know it happened. So what are you mad about? Stop this reaching shit. Just stop this shit. I get you work for ESPN. And I think you've been hanging around ESPN too much. All right, quit ESPN. All right, take the money you make from this book and live off that. Stop working at ESPN. They didn't got you on that woke sauce. You got the woke virus right now. You ain't got COVID. You got woke. All right, stop trying to be woke. All right, stop doing this. Stop trying to be relevant. I don't want my dad trying to be relevant. Let me stop saying the same things. I'm done. All right, everybody, if you have not yet gotten your free copy of my newest book, The Third Day, Chicago Bulls Color Red, the decision that separates the pros from the amateurs. I'll give you this book free. All you got to do is cover the shipping. Go to thirddaybook.com. Thirddaybook.com. The book's free. Just cover the shipping. I do not bash Michael Jordan in this book. I do not bash Scottie Pippen. I don't have to bash anybody because the book will sell on its substance alone. Thirddaybook.com. And make sure that you text me. You get my daily motivation text, 305-384-6894 every single day, straight to your phone. Work on your game. And Scottie Pippen, stop it. Dre all day. We out.